Hello, I'm Cal Sanford. I've been a raptor propagation specialist with the Peregrine Fund for nearly 30 years. During this time, we've artificially inseminated thousands of medium to large falcons, including gyr falcons, peregrine falcons, and oplomotto falcons. In a moment, I'd like to show you a video on how we artificially inseminate oplomotto falcons at the Peregrine Fund, but first I'd like you to consider a few precautions.
Before we begin, it's best to perform an artificial insemination at least 1 hour and no more than 6 hours after the first egg is laid. Avoid inseminating the female during the first hour because extra fluid and blood clots may reduce fertility. We check for new eggs at least every 12 hours. If the exact time of egg laying is unknown, an artificial insemination as soon as possible will produce good results. Do not inseminate more than 16 hours post-laying because it may damage the next developing egg or the female's reproductive tract. Fertility is much improved by inseminating directly into the everted oviduct rather than just into the cloaca, 10% versus 75%. This technique will be demonstrated and carefully explained in this video. However, there are enough dangers inherent in the procedure to warrant caution and careful consideration. Artificial insemination should not be attempted until the handlers have a complete understanding of the mechanics involved. Practicing on quail, chickens, pigeons, or other birds is an important prerequisite. The Peregrine Fund has used this procedure successfully with peregrine falcons, gyr falcons, and oplomotto falcons, and it can be used with other bird species. We'll now demonstrate this procedure with oplomotto falcons. Propagation specialist Heather Springsteed does a visual health inspection of the adult falcons while checking the nest ledge for new eggs. These inspections are done first thing in the morning and again in late afternoon. After Heather discovers an egg, Cal gathers the tools that will be needed for the artificial insemination. These tools are warmed in a 99-degree Fahrenheit incubator, so they will not cold shock the semen during collection. A warm gel pack is placed in a small carrying container and a foam pad is laid on top. This protects and warms the microhematocrit capillary tubes for semen collection and the artificial insemination tools. To collect semen, the male is captured and taken to a well-lit table outside the chamber. He's placed breast down on a pad and a folded towel is laid on top. This comfortably restrains the falcon. We've found that a 3-inch foam pad works well for medium to large falcons. An important step is to hold the falcon's legs at the feet and lock your fingers under the edge of the table while gently holding the falcon under the towel with your other hand. This holds the falcon in the correct position. Cal spreads the wings out of the way, while Heather grabs a capillary tube. Cal firmly but gently massages the falcon from the back of the ribs to the pelvic girdle several times. This applies pressure to the testes and pushes semen down the vas deferens to the papilla. This skeleton illustrates the anatomy, the location of the testes and vas deferens, and the location where Cal firmly but gently massages the falcon from the back of the ribs to the pelvic girdle several times. Cal then lifts the tail and holds the vent feathers out of the way with his right thumb. This places the tip of his right thumb on the bottom of the cloaca, which everts the papilla at the top of the cloaca. Meanwhile, the tip of his right index finger applies slight pressure between the pubic bones on the underside of the falcon. As you can see, Cal's left thumb and index finger are placed on each side of the cloaca. The skeleton further illustrates where Cal places his index finger. Slight pressure is applied simultaneously from below and the sides of the cloaca to expose the papilla and expel the semen into the capillary tube. Be careful not to pinch the papilla. It's important not to push the capillary tube against the papilla. just collect the drop of semen as it's expelled. Semen is a somewhat cloudy fluid, ranging from colorless to yellow. Urates are a milky white. As you can see, there is a small amount of urates at the end of the collection, which is not harmful. If your collection looks like this, it's all urates. Discard the sample. You can repeat this 1 or 2 more times for additional semen. Here is the complete process. The male is then released back into the chamber. Cal immediately places the semen into the warm artificial insemination tube in preparation to inseminate the female. Artificially inseminating the female is a very quick process, so we prefer to do the procedure in the chamber. After Cal captures the female, Heather comes into the chamber with the semen. Heather casts the female and holds the falcon, breast up and tail pointing away. Cal then holds the feet and places the palm of his hand on the breast with his 3 middle fingers between the legs. Cal can control both feet with his thumb and little finger. Controlling the oviduct is more difficult if the falcon grabs your clothing or hand because she can exert pressure on her abdomen. Cal uses the middle fingers to pull the vent feathers away from the cloaca. The other hand holds the wings and tail, and he positions the tip of his thumb and index finger on each side of the cloaca. The trick is to position your hand on the falcon's breast so the middle fingers are flat against the abdomen. Be aware that too much pressure on her thorax and abdomen may severely impair her breathing. Continue to monitor her condition at all times. If your fingers are bent, you will actually push the oviduct back into the falcon when you apply pressure. Using flat fingers, apply slight downward pressure on the abdomen. You should see the cloaca push outward. This is the oviduct pressing against the cloaca. Then, use your thumb and index finger to spread the cloaca sideways and back into the bird, exposing the oviduct. By simultaneously applying pressure to the abdomen and spreading the cloaca, you can easily control the amount you evert the oviduct, which is usually just a few millimeters. The opening is a depression in the center of the mass of tissue. The artificial insemination tube is inserted no more than 2 to 3 centimeters. In a coordinated effort, the artificial insemination plunger is pushed at the same time the pressure is removed from the abdomen. This allows the oviduct to draw off the artificial insemination tube, providing space for the semen in the oviduct, and usually little to no semen is expelled around the artificial insemination tube. It's very important to make sure the oviduct is completely back inside the bird. Usually a slight push just outside the cloaca is all it takes. Examples of scenarios that you may see during artificial insemination are defecation during an artificial insemination, which is not a problem. Urates on the cloaca or oviduct. Cal delicately wipes the urates off the cloaca. If the urates are on the oviduct, gently dab with your finger. The oviduct needs to be directly pushed in before the falcon is released. We recommend that you wash your hands thoroughly before each artificial insemination. Here's the complete artificial insemination process again. The female is released back into the chamber. Cal makes the artificial insemination tool from a 1 mm tuberculin syringe and latex surgical tubing. The finished tool has the latex surgical tubing fitted to the tuberculin syringe. The artificial insemination tubes are made from Nadelson blood collecting tube or plastic poultry insemination tube. The Nadelson tubes are cut short, and the plastic poultry insemination tube can be broken in half so it's more compact. A new tube is secured in the surgical tubing for insemination. The plastic poultry and Nadelson blood collecting tubes are rounded and polished on the end, unlike the microcapillary tubes, which can poke or cut the delicate oviduct. It can be helpful to mark the tubes at 2 to 3 centimeters so you do not insert the tube too deeply during the insemination. The artificial insemination tubes cost less than a penny, so we use new ones for each insemination. When managing non-copulating pairs, we artificially inseminate after the first and second egg for females that lay a 3 or 4 egg clutch, or we artificially inseminate after each egg when extending the female's clutch. This concludes our artificial insemination video. Thank you for watching. More information is available in our Falcon Propagation, a manual on captive breeding, available on the Peregrine Fund's website.